Life here is not a gift handed out once and kept forever. It is a debt, paid daily, with muscle, with vigilance, with the price of every mistake. In Tsavo, the sun-seared land of East Africa, the crown is not forged from gold or diamonds. It is woven from fear. And its highest symbol, paradoxically, was once an ornament: the mane. In many other parts of Africa, a thick mane is armor, a decoration of male power, a silhouette the savanna recognizes from far away. But in Tsavo, the heat negotiates with nothing, not even beauty. The heavy mane traps too much warmth, drives the body toward dangerous overheating, and turns pride into a fatal weakness. So this land gave rise to nearly bareheaded kings, throneless rulers who can still make the ground tremble with a single roar. Then, into that old order, a new bloodline arrived, pure in number, yet carrying denser hormones, tougher immune systems, and a clearer appetite for risk. No blood needed to be spilled at first. Contempt was already visible in the way the old male shadows withdrew into dusk. From that moment on, Tsavo's balance of power shifted. A new dynasty had begun, and with it, a message ran across the grasslands. The new king had arrived. Every creature had better be ready. But a throne does not stand on a male's muscle alone. An empire that wants to last must be fed. And that work belongs to the lionesses. They slide through the grass like low streaks of fire, wasting not a single movement. Their first target does not have to be the biggest, the bloodiest, or the most glorious. In the early days of a dynasty, practicality is worth more than pride. This time, it is a zebra weighing around 660 pounds. One carcass, enough meat for the whole pride, and at far less risk than a buffalo. But nature does not hand out flesh for free. The zebra's black and white stripes are not there for beauty. When the herd moves as one, those stripes scramble the predator's vision, turning the group into a living illusion and making it painfully difficult to isolate a single animal. The lioness knows this. She does not chase for long. Her heart is too small for her body to support sustained pursuit. The hunt must end quickly, cleanly, decisively. A bite that closes the windpipe. A sudden stillness. Then the dust settles again. But the plains do not allow victors much rest. After intense exertion, the lion's body demands water to cool itself. And in that moment, power on land is forced to step up to the border of another kingdom. Water. Lions can swim, but they despise it. Their dense fur turns into sodden armor, dragging down all agility. And the Nile crocodile needs only that one moment. In water, the lion has almost no chance. Sometimes, not even on the muddy edge of the bank has it truly left the crocodile's dominion behind. Yet Tsavo is not ruled only by jaws. Waiting in the mud, the giants begin to speak. Young bull elephants are passing through fierce hormonal surges, swollen with confidence, aggression, and the intoxicating certainty of their own size. To an elephant, a lion is not a worthy enemy. But lions are persistent. If they cannot bring down the giant, they will turn toward the weakest link, the calf. It is the oldest strategy on the savanna, but at close range, the roar of a mother elephant is more than sound. It is pressure, a shock that rattles the rib cage and shivers through the attacker's nervous system. The lion finds no opening, and in that instant, the savanna turns its face and reveals its deeper truth. Not fang, not claw, but the body of a mother standing between death and the life behind her. Challenged from every side, starved, denied by elephants and humbled by water, the new dynasty comes to understand one thing. If it wants to truly wear the crown, it will need a coronation of blood. And this time, the prey will not be weak. It will be the African buffalo, a living fortress weighing up to 500 pounds, armed with a horn span of more than 3 feet. A lone lion has only about a 20% chance of walking away from such a confrontation without serious injury. But when the whole pride commits the assault, their chances of surviving nearly double. The lionesses are the spine of this battle. They bite into the hips, hook into the neck, and drag until the red dust coats fur and blood alike. This is the moment the new male must prove his worth, not with a roar, but by stepping directly into the most dangerous point of the struggle. And when the buffalo finally collapses, Tsavo understands the throne has been secured. But power never stands still. It is always hungrier than it was yesterday. The next prize rises on the horizon, the Masai giraffe, towering over 16 feet tall, a giant whose kick alone could shatter a lion's skull. Yet the hunters understand the laws of the body. The giraffe carries in its chest a heart weighing more than 24 pounds, forced to labor furiously just to pump blood upward against gravity. When pursued, that heart surges toward its biological limit. The lions do not rush in. They wait. They wait until the giraffe's own height becomes a burden, until endurance begins to turn against mass. Then they tear into the softest points beneath the thick hide, and the scent of death spreads far enough to summon the cleaners of the savannah. The new empire has not merely survived, it has touched domination. But Tsavo was never a board, made only for lions. Human beings have wasted far too many centuries misunderstanding the spotted hyena. They called it a coward, a scavenger, a thief of leftovers. But Tsavo has never believed in names given by outsiders. On this hot, dust-baked earth, truth is written in what remains after the hunt. And the truth is that the hyena hunts up to 90% of its own food. Its special weapon is not explosive speed, nor a regal appearance that inspires awe. It is endurance. Its heart is significantly larger for its body size, allowing it to turn every hunt into a long war of attrition. If the lion is an explosion, then the hyena is a blade that keeps sawing without tiring. And when the prey is a zebra, its brutality becomes nakedly clear. For the hyena, speed of consumption is not greed. It is survival. No mercy, no final words. Often the prey is torn apart while breath still moves through it. Not far away, the cheetah learns the opposite lesson. To reach nearly 70 miles per hour, it sacrificed almost all defensive strength. After each chase, the body falls into severe oxygen debt, and the hyena knows that with perfect cruelty. For the cheetah, a kill is not yet a meal. Even with hungry cubs waiting, it cannot gamble against the bone-crushing jaws of the robbers. In Tsavo, justice is a luxury the cheetah was never meant to possess, but the lion remains the master of the game, or at least on most quiet days. Even when its performance declines, very few creatures dare challenge it head-on. Yet a lion's ambition rarely ends at its stomach. It can see the threat still sleeping in the dark dens, hyena cubs with eyes that look innocent only because they have not yet grown into their future. Hyena society is a strict matriarchy. Males are second-class citizens, wanderers, nomads without true power in the structure. The mothers, burdened and alone, must leave the den to hunt, trading flesh for milk. And that absence often becomes a death sentence. When the cry of a bloodline being severed rings out, the mothers race back in a storm of adrenaline. But even a large clan cannot always face two adult male lions at once. The lions win that battle. Yet as the hyenas retreat, the look in their eyes is no longer simple fear. It is the look of a creature that has lost its absolute respect for the king. From here onward, the war in Tsavo will never truly end. Leaving Uganda does not make the story gentler. It only changes its colors. If the savannah is an open stage where every creature is exposed to the light, then Borneo and Sumatra are kingdoms of green darkness, where the canopy is so dense that sunlight must tear through layers of leaves before it ever reaches the ground. Here, power is not always declared by a roar. Often, it is held in silence, in memory, and in the ancient trees that carry the fate of entire generations inside their hollow trunks. High above, The heavy beating of wings makes the forest shudder. The rhinoceros hornbill appears like a living emblem of Borneo's sky. The hollow casque on its bill is not a decoration. It is a resonating chamber, amplifying calls that travel for miles to announce territory and presence. Their lives are tied inseparably to ancient trees with natural cavities. When breeding season begins, the female seals herself inside the nest with mud, remaining in darkness for weeks while she molts and raises her young. Outside, the male shoulders everything. He must gather food, stay faithful, and endure long enough to carry an entire family through its most fragile chapter. By eating large fruits that smaller birds cannot handle, hornbills become master sowers of the forest, scattering seeds far and wide, beginning quiet acts of rebirth across the jungle. The savanna does not move in one direction. If all you see are fangs, you will never understand this place. The rest of the plains are written in hooves, horns, sudden turns that seem to split the earth, the absolute stillness of newborns, the alarm calls of small birds spreading through an ocean of grass. Impala become masters of disappearance in the wet season. Grass rises high, soft and thick, becoming shelter and trap at the same time. This is also the season of birth. A newborn has no speed, no horns, no tightly organized herd around it. Its only weapon is stillness. The mother hides it in the grass, leaves it there for hours, returns briefly, then leaves again so her scent does not pull in leopard or lion. When danger passes close, the fawn holds its breath so completely it seems to leave the world. On the savanna, there are moments when life survives not by being stronger, but by vanishing more perfectly. Thompson's gazelles choose another path. The instant a cheetah breaks from the grass, the gazelle becomes an arrow. It is not speed alone that saves it, but violent angles, rapid zigzags, sudden lateral bursts that force the predator to pay for each correction with its own energy. A cheetah may accelerate with astonishing speed, but the price is written in burning lungs and a heart pushed to its limit. If the gazelle can drag the chase beyond that threshold, the balance begins to shift. Zebras use something stranger still. Their black and white striping is not for hiding in grass. It distorts focus when the whole herd moves together. And if driven too close, a zebra's hind kick can break a jaw, even kill a lion. This is where the savanna corrects every false assumption. The beauty written across a zebra's coat is not softness. It is a shield for the eye and a hammer hidden in the legs. Wildebeest survive through mass, endurance, and refusal. Immense herds roll across the land, turning the ground into a drum. They are not beautiful in the way people frame wildlife posters, but that enormous living storm creates a visual chaos so dense that a predator struggles to isolate one body from the rest. And when cornered too sharply, the curved horns become knives. Many turn and drive straight at their attackers, hitting with the desperation of animals that understand one more backward step means death. Buffalo are fiercer still. A single one can weigh close to a ton. But what makes lions truly wary is not size alone. It is memory and herd discipline. The instant danger appears, the buffalo fold inward, calves to the center, horns out, forming a wall of steel. One charge can destroy a predator's confidence in an instant. The giraffe, gentler in the human imagination, keeps a dead zone of its own. Its towering legs can unleash a kick powerful enough to kill a lion. Calm, here, has never meant helpless. If this story remains with you after the screen goes dark, let it remain not as a sigh, but as a summons. These grasslands are still breathing. The roars still travel. The river still keeps its secrets. But those things continue only if human beings choose to let them continue. Stand on the side of the darkness a leopard needs in order to disappear. On the side of the sandbank, a crocodile hatchling needs in order to emerge. On the side of the corridor, a wildebeest herd needs in order to complete its journey. Because every footprint still pressed into red earth is a sentence not yet erased from the oldest story on this planet, the right to live. Every hunter on the plains must expose itself to the light sooner or later. The crocodile does not. It lies low under the water, letting mud erase the outline of its body, leaving only its eyes and nostrils to do the rest. On land, a roar may claim territory. In water, silence is the true declaration. The Nile crocodile, is one of the most successful crocodilians left on Earth, and in Africa, it is the largest, the hardest, and the most complete. A mature male can exceed 6 meters and weigh over a ton. But the thing that makes it frightening is not its size. It is the feeling that this animal comes from another age, almost unchanged, as if evolution once finished perfecting it and saw no reason to return. Its back is not just skin. Beneath the scales lie small bony plates called osteoderms, serving at once as armor, solar collector, heat storage, and mineral bank. The open mouth it shows while basking is not a threat. It is a cooling system. Yet the greatest mistake would be to believe that an unmoving creature is inattentive. Along the crocodile's jaws are sensory receptors so fine that the surface of the river becomes a map of vibration, the flinch of prey, a misplaced hoof at the bank, a body struggling only meters away. All of it reaches the crocodile like an alarm. No human engineer, with a lifetime to try, could easily redesign a creature that is at once armor, sensor array, blade, and living battery. And it existed long before human beings knew enough to ask what perfection might look like. The crocodile strategy is patience in its purest form. It can remain underwater for up to 30 minutes, sinking into a silence so complete that prey mistakes it for driftwood. Then the moment arrives. That body explodes upward from the edge of the water like a tensioned cable released. The jaws close. The bite force can rise into the tens of thousands of newtons, among the strongest in the animal world. Its conical teeth are not designed to chew. They pin, hold, and drag. But what made the crocodile legendary is still something beyond the bite, the death roll. When prey is too large to drown immediately, it spins its entire body around its axis with terrifying speed. Flesh, tendon, and joint are not simply torn by teeth, but by torsion. This is not frenzy. It is technique written into the genes. A form of violence so exact that it feels almost engineered. Then the story changes tone. On a warm bank, a female digs a nest. The fate of her brood is decided not only by inheritance, but by temperature. If the nest runs too hot or too cold, the sex ratio shifts. When faint cries begin to emerge from the eggs, she returns. The same jaws that can crush the femur of an antelope become delicate enough to split shells and lift the hatchlings free. She carries them in her mouth to the water. But the river is no sanctuary. Fewer than 1% of crocodile hatchlings survive to adulthood. Monitor lizards raid the nests, raptors sweep from above, large fish wait at the margins, and sometimes the most dangerous enemy is another crocodile. The future of this empire is built on the deaths of the small. When the two empires finally meet, the savanna seems to stop breathing. A lioness with cubs drags at a strip of carrion at the edge of the water. At the other end, a crocodile holds the rest, using the pull of water and mass to take it back. The struggle is not beautiful. It is not noble. It is simply real. The lioness is not stronger. She only has more to lose, so she wins enough to feed her cubs one more day. But when a male lion steps too far into that water, the rules change at once. One sweep of the tail, one clamp from beneath the mud, and the king of the plains is dragged out of the only world he understands. Every empire has a border. Every ruler has a terrain where his power becomes useless. The dry season forces everything closer together. Less water, less prey. A dead hippo can draw an entire pride of lions and the biggest crocodiles to the same place. No treaty is signed. Yet both sides read each other fast. A warning roar, a guttural answer from the water. Tension hangs over the river like a drawn wire. They are enemies. But they are also rivals who understand too well the cost of spilling blood. And while both remain absorbed in that struggle, a third enemy has been entering this story for a long time now. Us. Lions now occupy only a fraction of their former range. Crocodiles, too, face hunting, conflict, and fragmented populations. The king of the grasslands and the lord of the swamp are both losing a war they never chose to fight. Yet there are still people resisting that loss. Anti-poaching efforts, captive breeding pressure relief, GPS alert systems for livestock communities, safer enclosures at night. This world was given to us in astonishing detail. The question is no longer whether nature can endure. The question is what we will leave behind when the last banks begin to dry. And as the river settles after that struggle, another shadow slips from the grass. It does not roar. It does not rise from mud. It comes alone, as silent as a bad thought. If the lion entrusts his future to the pride, the leopard chooses the opposite path entirely, alone, in shadow, across a landscape where a single wrong step can cost an entire season of hunger. It is the predator of the edge between light and dark, of low thickets, of tree shadows cut across hot ground. Its golden coat marked with black rosettes was never made for beauty. It was made to fracture the outline of its body into patches, to dissolve into dry grass, bark, and leaf shadow. Millions of years ago, its ancestors crossed from Asia through hard country and kept on their bodies. Only what mattered most for a solitary life: soft feet, low shoulders, a tail long enough to balance, and the strength to kill prey and then remove that prey from whatever came afterward. A mature leopard may defend a range stretching across dozens of square kilometers. It needs no fence posts. Territory is written in scent, claw marks on bark, and the silent presence of the owner himself. The dry season makes that life harder than ever. The ground cracks open. Heat rises as if from a kiln. Waterholes shrink into mud. And where water remains, hyenas have often arrived first. A large clan can dominate almost anything by sheer numbers, not to mention the crushing force of its jaws. The leopard knows this. It does not compete unless forced. It goes farther, finds damp places others overlook, and accepts thirst if that is the price of survival. But thirst is only one problem. The leopard must also hunt. Impala become one of its familiar targets, spring-loaded, quick, alert, capable of moving in herds that function like defensive walls of nerves and vision. The leopard advances one careful step at a time, setting each foot down as though afraid to crack the earth. The whole hunt is a contest between time and sound. It waits for the wind to die, for the herd to let down its guard for one breath, for hunger and patience to meet in the same instant. Then comes the strike, short, controlled, clean. The prey may have half a second to understand what has happened, but the turning point of the leopard's story does not lie in the pounce. It lies in what comes next. The savanna is full of animals ready to steal from it. So the leopard hauls its kill into a tree, jaw clamped around the neck, spine bowed, claws fixed into bark. It raises the carcass step by step, removing the meal from the ground, where the law of numbers begins. The solitary hunter survives not because it is stronger than lion or crocodile, but because it understands that true victory means eating what it killed before someone else catches the scent of blood. Its success, therefore, always stands on a ledge above failure. A missed strike means wasted energy in dry grass. A stolen carcass may mean several nights with an empty stomach. Then the rain comes. The cracked land turns green. New grass shoots upward, in some places taller than a man. The air cools. Rain on leaves becomes cover of another kind. And with the rain comes the great migration. Vast herds of wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle push northward from the Serengeti into the Masai Mara. For the leopard, this is a season of both opportunity and confusion. A young zebra drifts from the herd. The leopard lies pressed to the earth, body bent like a drawn bow. The chance of success against zebra is low, but the reward is too large to ignore. It moves through the folds of the land, using grass and mud as camouflage. Then it bursts out. The mare wheels and chases, bites, kicks, screams through the language of her body. Maternal instinct is the one force on the savanna that does not fully obey probability. But this time, it is not enough. The leopard keeps hold of the foal and vanishes into cover. The savanna does not reward courage. It grades only the result. The real danger now no longer comes only from hyena or zebra mare. It comes from the land itself changing. The average temperature of the savanna has risen. Dry seasons stretch longer. Shade grows rarer. Water grows rarer. The shadows leopards need are disappearing. Wildlife corridors, GPS collars, ecotourism, and real-time tracking are being used in many places. These are not embellishments to a story. They are attempts to restore the last darkness a leopard can still vanish into. When one sees a leopard pass through tall grass and seem to dissolve into the landscape, it becomes hard not to wonder who placed that gift inside every rosette. the ability to disappear at the exact moment it must. And beneath the branches where it hoists its kills, another species is already waiting, not to pull prey upward, but to drag everything lower. Closer to bone, closer to truth, closer to the night. People look at the Great Migration and see magnificence. The savanna looks at it and sees a purge. Under the light of the early season, the ground begins to tremble before the eye can even understand what is coming. Wildebeest arrive first, high-shouldered, heavy-headed, rough-bodied, as if assembled too quickly from several different animals. They are not beautiful in the way zebras are beautiful. They are not slender like gazelles. But their herds are a storm with rhythm. They hear water from far away. They smell change in the wind. They feel vibrations through the ground. And the zebras beside them move like guardians of the journey itself. With a near full-circle field of vision, they read the horizon better, catch movement in the grass faster, detect the shadow of a predator sooner. They are not kin to the wildebeest. They simply share the same silent vow, live long enough to see one more sunrise. Gazelles move along the edges, lighter, quicker, easier to leave behind. Yet the presence of all three species together creates a living network of defense, each giving the others what it alone possesses. That network, however, is not kindness. It is calculation written by nature. When hundreds of thousands of bodies move at once, the newborn, the weak, the wounded, the ones who lose the rhythm, begin to drift toward the edges of the current. And at those edges, other eyes have been waiting for a long time. Lions watch the margins. Hyenas watch the space between mother and calf. Cheetahs watch for the instant a gazelle turns the wrong way. But all the hunters of the land become smaller when the migration reaches the place where earth and water stop respecting each other's boundary. The Mara River appears quiet. That is the most frightening kind of quiet. Its water is brown, dense, seemingly idle. But just beneath the mud, a force has been waiting there almost since the age of dinosaurs. The Nile crocodile does not chase the herd. It lets the herd fall into it. A mature male may stretch beyond 6 meters and weigh more than a ton. Its back is bone-armored. Its belly hugs the riverbed. Only the eyes and nostrils show enough for the world to forget it is there. Everything about this creature has been made for a single moment, to lock shut and not let go. Its bite force rises into the tens of thousands of newtons. Its tail provides the burst. Its jaws do the rest. The whole river becomes a trap. Wildebeest stand at the edge, torn between the instinct to go forward and the species' memory of the deaths already dissolved into this water. Then one jumps. The rest crash after it. Mud erupts. Hooves strike other hooves. The cry of a calf cuts through the chaos. The river explodes. A crocodile's head surges up. A body disappears as though the water itself erased it from the world. But the turning point of the migration is not death. It is the scale of continuation. Each year, enormous numbers fall. It sounds like disaster. Yet those deaths feed the grass again, feed crocodiles, vultures, hyenas, bacteria in the soil, and the next wave of green that rises after the rains. The blood that sinks into the land does not end a story. It starts another one. Perhaps that is why no one can stand before the migration and think only of cruelty. There is an order inside that cruelty, a severe, terrifying order. A calf born on the plains can stand within minutes. Soon after, it must walk. Not long after that, it must run. There is no true childhood on these plains. There is only a brief interval between being born and being forced to keep up. Behind the migration, the alkaline lakes blaze with another kind of endurance. Lesser flamingos, the smallest flamingos in the world, stand in water so caustic that many creatures would turn away from it. Algae and microorganisms stain them pink and orange. Their legs withstand salt. Special salt glands do their silent work inside them, like the machinery of astonishing biological systems. They do not hunt. They do not chase. Yet they exist where few others can. Some animals change the ground simply by passing over it. The African elephant is one of them. A full-grown adult may weigh well over 6,000 kilograms and stand close to 4 meters tall. When it moves, the earth does not tremble because of rage. It trembles because of mass. Even the largest predators on the savanna, including lions, understand that a fully grown elephant has almost no natural enemies. Yet the elephant's strength is not mere size. It is also the trunk. A structure made of tens of thousands of muscle bundles, capable of uprooting trees, lifting weight, stroking a calf, or hurling away whatever comes too close. It lies in the memory of the matriarch, who leads the herd back to waterholes their ancestors dug years before. It lies in the low-frequency language that travels to the ground farther than a cry, carrying warning as well as grief. An elephant herd does not simply live on the savanna. It reshapes the savanna through its movement, and yet the turning point lies here. Even a creature nearly untouched by predators survives more through memory than through violence. When drought comes, the matriarch does not win with tusks or bulk. She wins by remembering. The root, the marsh. The patch of earth is still damp beneath the dust. It is hard to watch such a thing and not feel that there is a perfectionate word beneath the muscle. A species weighing tons places the fate of the herd in the memory of one old female. Its survival is not placed in claws or fangs. It is placed in remembrance. The rhinoceros takes the opposite path. It lives more alone, more guarded, seeing poorly but smelling brilliantly. Its body seems plated like armor, its horn made of keratin. The same substance as a human fingernail becomes a weapon in the hand of nature. A full-grown animal may weigh well over 1,000 kilograms. Its blurred vision forces it to read the world through scent and sound. A strange odor, a footstep out of place, a short noise. That is enough to trigger a charge. During breeding season, males clash using the very horn that defines them. Some battles last for hours. Some deaths come not from lions, but from another rhino. The black rhino moves even more slowly through time. A pregnancy lasts many months. Each calf remains with its mother for years, and population growth is painfully slow. A creature of such size, yet with such a fragile future. And on its back stand red-billed oxpeckers like tiny sentries, removing parasites and sounding the alarm when something approaches. Even this giant still needs a bird to water behind it. The giraffe bends the idea of strength into another form altogether. Its neck may stretch beyond 2 meters. Its heart is immense, strong enough to push blood upward to the brain. Yet it still possesses only 7 neck vertebrae, the same number found in a human being. It feeds where few others can reach. It sees farther than most grazers below. But whenever it lowers itself to drink, the body must split its front legs wide, lower its head, and offer its throat and skull to every danger around the water's edge. Lions know it. Crocodiles know it. The giraffe knows it too. A design that seems miraculous becomes suddenly vulnerable simply because it needs water. Then, in mating season, their elegance becomes a hammer. Males begin to neck. Their heads swing sideways. Their necks whip like heavy clubs. The bony knobs on their skulls slam into ribs, shoulders, and flanks. The sound can carry across the open country. A well-placed blow can break ribs, damage organs, even drop a rival instantly. It is a slow, cold form of violence. Not dramatic, but final. Rhinos charge straight. Elephants overpower by sheer mass. Giraffes turn their own towers into weapons. Each species has its own way of telling the world that it cannot be erased easily from this landscape. And yet the greatest danger now no longer comes from clashes between giants. It comes from shrinking land, poaching, fences, roads, and dry seasons that last longer than they once did. Rhinos are hunted for horns that hold no real medicinal power. Elephants lose the roots passed down across generations. Some giraffe populations have fallen severely over recent decades. Protected areas answer with armed patrols, GPS tracking, dehorning, wildlife corridors, and community warning systems. One truth must be spoken clearly here. The largest animals on the savanna are not dying because they are weak. They are dying because they are slower than the pace of human destruction. And that sorrow does not belong to nature alone. It belongs to us. Farther south, where the open grass gives way to waterholes, mud banks, and slow rivers thick with the smell of silt, another force is waiting. It has no towering legs like a giraffe, no memory like an elephant, no horn like a rhino. It needs only water deep enough to conceal most of its body. The instant the lions reveal themselves, the savanna changes face. The earth begins to shake beneath pounding hooves. The buffalo do not explode into panic. They turn. Calves are driven inward. Great heads lower in unison. The herd becomes a living barricade, an army with no formal training. Yet a response so exact, it feels written into them by every hard season that came before. A single countercharge can hurl a full-grown lion clear off the ground. And this is where the savanna reminds everyone of the truth. On these plains, the title of king is never a guarantee of safety. This is a land of extremes. By day, the sun beats down until the ground splits open in dry, baked fractures. By night, the heat drains away, leaving a cold sharp enough to slice through exhausted flesh. Tall grass feeds herbivores, hides them, and becomes the perfect curtain for ambush. Acacia trees stand scattered like lonely sentries, offering rare shade, yet also casting shadows deep enough for death to crouch inside. From a distance, the savanna seems open. But the more open it is, the more it becomes the greatest trap of all. No caves, no deep forests, no doors to close against fate. Every escape unfolds on a stage without hiding places. Every movement is exposed to the light. Every mistake has someone waiting to profit from it. And perhaps that is what makes the savanna both terrifying and almost sacred. This is not merely where animals live. This is where essence is forced into the open. Lions cannot rely on majesty alone. Buffalo cannot rely on sheer size alone. The hunter must be hungry enough to risk everything, clever enough to wait, disciplined enough to compress chaos into a single fatal moment. The hunted must be stubborn enough to stand, calm enough to hold formation, brave enough to turn back into danger when one of their own is being dragged away. On this land, victory does not belong to whoever is called the strongest. It belongs to the one who understands the limits of its world more clearly than anyone else. The savanna does not kill in only one way, and that is what makes this world both beautiful and terrible. Death does not wear a single face here. It may come in the form of a pride of lions operating like a war machine. It may arrive on the silent feet of a leopard, so soft that even the grass has no time to bow. It may explode like a bolt of lightning through the body of a cheetah, then vanish seconds later because the creature has nearly burned itself alive with speed. Or it may come in the warped laughter of the spotted hyena, a sound humans have long mistaken for cowardice, when in truth it belongs to one of the most relentless and battlefield-savvy hunters on the plains. The lion is the clearest embodiment of collective power. No other great cat places its fate in the strength of a group the way it does. Lionesses carry out most of the hunts, coordinating in crescent formations, controlling the wind, cutting pathways, severing prey from every illusion of safety it once possessed. What makes lions terrifying is not muscle or jaws alone. It is the psychology of the hunt. They do not merely attack flesh, they assault resolve. A prey animal isolated from its herd often loses long before the first bite lands. On the savanna, isolation is the first act of violence. Everything that follows is only the formal conclusion. But if the lion represents the power of unity, the leopard proves that solitude is not the same as weakness. It does not need support. It does not summon a pack. It does not announce itself with a roar. It trusts in patience, in silence, in the ability to dissolve into shadow, bark, and grass, as though it were never there at all. Its rosetted coat is not merely beautiful. It is a living deception. The leopard does not rush toward chaos. It waits. It waits until the gap is narrow enough, until the victim takes one careless step, until the world falters for one beat. Then it detonates. Fast, brief, violent. And once the kill is made, it does what few predators can. It drags prey several times its own weight into a tree, lifting its meal out of the reach of hyenas, lions, and every thief, following the scent of blood. A flamingo can turn a brutal salt lake into a living painting. A black rhino can transform silence into a charge of pure fury. A caracal can rise from the earth and make even the sky unsafe. A black-maned lion can wear power like a crown, while hyenas challenge that throne with numbers, endurance, and relentless will. This is not merely the story of animals. This is the story of instinct, conflict, endurance, and the savage balance that keeps the wild alive. L.A. Mingo, a pink ballet on waters that smell of salt and death. Across the shallow lakes of Africa, where the water seems to reflect nothing but beauty and stillness, there is a bird that turns the horizon itself into a pink dream. But behind that delicate appearance lies no gentle story. Because in nature, no color survives for long unless it is paid for with endurance, discipline, and ruthless survival instinct. This is the flamingo, a bird whose every step looks like a soft brushstroke on the water, yet whose entire life is a constant balancing act between elegance and destruction. As dawn touches the surface of the lake, thousands of pale pink bodies emerge like a living cloud descending onto the earth. Water glitters around their long, fragile legs. The calls of the flock blend into the morning wind, forming a sound that is both chaotic and rhythmic, as if the lake itself is waking in their voice. From a distance, flamingos seem like a miracle of grace. But look closer, and you will see an army of adaptation. The salty lakes, alkaline waters, and shallow marshes they choose are not easy places to live. The water can be so harsh that many other species stay away. Salt levels are high, the mud is soft, temperatures swing sharply, and food is tiny and difficult to extract. Yet it is precisely there that flamingos have found their advantage. Their uniquely curved beaks seem designed for one single purpose: to filter life from murky water. They lower their heads, stir the mud, and then draw from that mixture tiny organisms, algae, and mini crustaceans, bits of nourishment, too small for most creatures, yet enough to sustain an entire pink kingdom. The flamingo's color is not merely beauty. It is the trace of what they eat, the evidence of a very particular way of life. That pink is woven from carotenoid pigments found in algae and crustaceans. In other words, they wear the colors of their habitat on their own bodies. They do not simply stand within the landscape. They carry the landscape upon themselves. Among the dense gathering, pairs begin their familiar dance. Necks stretch upward, heads turn in unison, wings open slightly, and their synchronized steps resemble an ancient ritual carved deep into the blood of the species. This is not simply courtship, it is selection. Among thousands of individuals, every motion becomes a declaration of health, rhythm, and the ability to belong to the collective. But flamingos do not live on beauty or ritual alone. They breed in crowded colonies, where thousands of mud nests rise like little towers from the water's surface. Every egg, every chick is a gamble against burning heat, shifting water levels, and predators waiting for weakness. A chick hatches, covered in gray down, not yet bearing the legendary pink of adulthood. It must grow amid a vast crowd, learn to recognize its parents' calls, and stand firm on unfinished legs in a world that is never truly gentle. But the moment that makes flamingos truly extraordinary is not when they turn the lake into a pink painting. It is when danger arrives, and that beauty suddenly transforms into a collective machine of astonishing precision. A shadow passes overhead. It may be an eagle, a jackal moving along the shore, or only a slight disturbance noticed by thousands of eyes stretched tight with vigilance. Then the whole flock shudders, necks shoot upward, coals erupt in unison. What seems like chaos is in fact governed by the deep logic of the flock, spreading outward like a wave. Hundreds, then thousands of bodies pivot in the same direction. Wings flare open, flashing black and red beneath the sun. The lake explodes into water, wind, and pink bodies rising together. When flamingos take flight, it is not simply escape. It is the moment when a vast population reveals its true strength. On the ground, they may appear fragile, but in numbers, in synchronization, they become something far greater than any single bird. A predator may single out a chick or a weakened adult, but faced with an entire sea of pink wings lifting at once, it must retreat before the overwhelming force of number and rhythm. Flamingos are also a living pulse within lake ecosystems. They stir the mud, affect microbial communities, transport nutrients, and turn waters that seem empty into vibrant spaces of life. Where flamingos gather, nature does not merely become more beautiful, it becomes more active, more alive. The strange thing is that a bird so often associated with elegance survives under conditions that are anything but gentle. The sun can scorch the lake, salt can erode life, predators can appear at any moment, food can vanish with the season, yet the flamingos return. They build nests again. They raise their young again. They turn a harsh land into a stage of color and motion. As evening descends, the flock stands still in the red light of dusk, their reflections stretching across the water like brushstrokes dissolving into sunset. And we suddenly understand that beauty in nature has never been weakness. Sometimes, it is the highest form of adaptation. It is the way a species survives amid hardship, while still forcing the world to stop and watch. Caracal. The black-eared ghost in a world of impossible leaps. Not every African assassin comes wrapped in a giant body or a roar that shakes the night. There is a predator that moves so quietly it seems to leave no trace. Smaller than a lion, less famous than a cheetah, yet armed with a weapon so astonishing that even the sky itself can become its hunting ground. This is the caracal, the black-eared ghost of the grasslands and semi-deserts, a cat capable of turning a single leap off the ground into the moment death falls from above. Twilight spreads over the grassland in bronze light. Wind slips through low shrubs, carrying the scent of birds, rodents, and countless small creatures preparing for the rhythms of night. In that fading glow, a caracal glides from the grass. Its body is lean, taut, and reddish, brown, blending almost perfectly with dry earth and dusty thorn country. Above its upright ears, black tufts rise like the final strokes of ink, on a face far too still to ever be harmless. The caracal is not a large cat, but nature has never measured hunting efficiency by size alone. It hunts with silence, with the ability to close distance beyond expectation, and with hind legs coiled like loaded springs. Its world is not the long pursuit of open savanna. It is the world of timing. A single moment precise enough to turn life and death into a story contained within one leap. It stops. Its ears swivel. Its gaze remains low, but never distracted. In the grass ahead, a small rodent shifts. Farther away, a few birds have landed to feed on open ground. For the caracal, every tiny movement is opportunity. It does not waste energy. It waits. It reads the wind. It measures distance with its own body. This is one of Africa's most versatile hunters. A caracal can take hares, rodents, birds, reptiles, and even prey larger than one might expect when conditions are right. But the skill for which it is most renowned is its ability to launch vertically into the air and knock down birds in mid-flight. That feat is a combination of neural speed, explosive muscle, and a targeting instinct so sharp it feels almost unreal. The caracal's life is a different kind of solitude from that of the black rhino. It is not alone because it is a fortress, but because it is a dagger. It survives on the margins of bigger hunting territories, avoiding direct conflict with larger predators, slipping into the hours and spaces they leave unguarded. In Africa, survival does not belong only to the strongest. Sometimes it belongs to the one who knows how to become something. Others fail to notice until it is far too late. The moment that turns the caracal into legend among the smaller cats is not when it vanishes like a shadow, it is when it explodes off the ground, and in that instant, even the sky is no longer safe. A small flock of birds has landed on a patch of open ground beside low brush. They peck busily for food, shuffling forward in short steps, unaware that beneath the grass, a hunting machine has compressed every muscle to its limit. The caracal moves closer. Its body drops lower. Its tail is nearly motionless. Then, everything detonates. It launches upward. Not a graceful leap for display, but a violent burst of instinct refined to perfection. Its body arcs into the air in one powerful curve. A forepaw lashes out like a hooked blade. Black ear tufts slice through the evening light. In an instant, panicked wings beat wildly. One bird falls, and perhaps a second. That small patch of sky becomes, for a heartbeat, a place where the caracal writes its own law. That is what makes this cat so remarkable. Darkness wearing a crown across the savanna. When a black-maned male lion steps out from the golden grass at day's end, the sight evokes more than strength. It evokes something older and heavier, as though the sunset itself has gathered around his neck into a dark crown. But nature did not grant that crown for decoration. It is the product of age, hormones, survival, and the brutal cost of standing near the top without being thrown down. Evening light spills across the savanna, setting fire to the deep mane of a male lion resting on a raised mound. On a raised mound. From there, he can watch much of his territory, the paths where antelope pass, the grassland where zebra often pause, and the dark edge of scrub where challenges may appear. A black-maned lion is not merely striking in appearance. In many populations, a darker mane often signals maturity, health, and authority earned through time. Below him, lionesses rest with their cubs. They are the true working heart of the pride, the hunters, the providers, the ones who sustain the social structure. Yet the presence of the black-maned male still carries enormous meaning. He is the gate of the territory, the shield against wandering male coalitions, the first face any intruder must confront if it intends to take everything. To reach that position, he has already passed through a harsh life. Once a young male forced to leave the pride of his birth, he would have wandered with brothers or allies, surviving on meager chances, avoiding stronger males, and growing season by season through hunger, scars, and endurance. No throne is ever reserved. Every form of male lion power must be seized. The dark mane does more than create majesty. It sends a message to both rivals and mates. It declares that this is a male who has survived many fights, absorbed enough sun, enough time, enough testosterone to wear the deep shade of rule. But because of that, he also becomes easier to target. Rivals know whom they must defeat. The savannah knows who currently holds power, and all the pressure of that position settles into every heavy step he takes. As dusk deepens, the black-maned male roars. That sound is not for herbivores alone. It marks the invisible border between what is still held and what is about to be stolen. On the savannah, power is never stable. Every night that passes without challenge is already a small victory. But the cruelest truth about a black-maned lion is that the darker the mane, the heavier the throne. And it may take only one failed battle for all that power to vanish before the next sunrise. From the edge of the territory, another roar answers. Not a random response, but a challenge. The black-maned male rises. His massive frame tightens beneath ridged muscle. Somewhere in the dark, cheetah scans the savannah. She is built for one purpose: acceleration. Every muscle refined for velocity, every tendon coiled like a spring. She does not dominate through strength. She dominates through time. Or, rather, the absence of it. In the distance, a herd of impalas grazes. The cheetah lowers her body. Silence wraps around her. She inches forward, each step calculated. She must get close, impossibly close. Because her gift comes at a price, she can outrun anything, but only for seconds. Suddenly she explodes. The planes detonate into motion. Dust erupts beneath her paws. Her spine flexes like a whip, propelling her forward at speeds no other land predator can match. The impalas scatter in panic, zigzagging wildly. This is not chaos. This is geometry. The cheetah anticipates angles, predicts hesitation, commits fully. Within moments, she reaches her target. A swipe, a stumble, impact. Silence returns as quickly as it vanished. She has won. But victory for a cheetah is fragile. Her chest heaves violently. Her body overheats. Her greatest weapon has drained her completely. She must recover. But recovery is a luxury she cannot afford. Because the plains are never empty. On the horizon, shapes materialize. Hyenas. They move with unsettling confidence. Not elegant, not fast, but relentless. Their jaws are among the most powerful in the animal kingdom. Bone crushers, theft specialists. The cheetah hears them before she sees them clearly. She knows what this means. She begins to eat immediately. There is no ceremony, no time for pride. She tears at the softest parts first. Liver, organs, the richest fuel. Every second matters. The hyenas approach closer. One is enough. She growls, a warning more symbolic than threatening. The hyena does not hesitate. It lunges forward, laughing in harsh, mocking bursts. The cheetah swipes, but she is exhausted, built for sprinting, not for war. The hyena clamps down on the carcass and pulls. A tug-of-war begins, brief, brutal, inevitable. The cheetah releases. She steps back, ribs rising sharply, eyes still fixed on what was hers moments ago. Hunger burns inside her, but instinct is stronger than pride. Live to hunt again. That is her only option. The hyena calls out, and soon more arrive. The plains reward teamwork, but the hierarchy of hunger does not end there. Farther away, lionesses rest in the shade. Unlike the cheetah, they are warriors. They do not chase with explosive speed. They endure. They coordinate. They overwhelm. As dusk falls, the lionesses rise. They move as one unit, silent, strategic. Their target, a young wildebeest separated from the herd, two flank. One pressures from behind, another waits ahead. This is not a chase. It is an ambush designed by experience. Within minutes, the wildebeest collapses beneath coordinated force. The lionesses feed. But even they cannot eat in peace. Hyenas gather again, this time in numbers. Dozens. The air fills with snarls and defiance. The lionesses hold their ground. Muscles tense. Tails whip in agitation. A single hyena cannot challenge the lions, but a clan can. The confrontation escalates. Lunges, fights, bone-jarring bites narrowly avoided. The hyenas press closer, testing resolve. Then a sound fractures the tension. A roar. Deep, thunderous, commanding. A sound fractures the tension. A roar. Deep, thunderous, commanding. A male lion emerges from tall grass, mane dark against the fading light. The hyenas pause. They understand power when they see it. The male does not charge immediately. He advances slowly, deliberately. Confidence radiates from him, like heat from the earth. Another roar. The hyenas retreat, not in panic, but in calculation. This prize is no longer worth the cost. Silence returns to the plains. The lions feed under the rising moon. Tonight, strength has prevailed. But tomorrow, the cheetah will hunt again. The hyenas will gather again. The lions will defend again. Because on the African plains, survival is not about winning once. It is about enduring the endless cycle. Speed, strength, strategy, different weapons. Say more. Cakedom of the scavengers. Extended. The Iberian sky is vast and mercilessly clear. From hundreds of meters above, movement on the ground is impossible to hide. The eyes of vultures are built for detection, scanning not for motion but for stillness. Stillness means opportunity. When one bird begins its descent, others notice. Vultures read each other as much as they read the land. A single spiral downward becomes a signal flare across the heavens. Within minutes, the sky fills with widening circles. On the rocky slope lies a fallen red deer. It may have succumbed to illness, injury, or the slow erosion of age. The cause no longer matters. In nature, death is not an end. It is redistribution. Griffon vultures land first. Pale-headed, broad-winged, cautious but impatient. They hop sideways, gauging distance from one another. Their long necks stretch forward, testing the air. But none begin, because authority has weight, and weight is arriving. The Eurasian black vultures descend like dark verdicts, larger, heavier. Their shadows stretch across the carcass and over the griffins themselves. No call is needed. The griffins step back. The black vulture grips the hide and pulls. The sound is thick and fibrous. Skin resists, then splits. Steam rises faintly in the cool air. That rupture is permission. The flock surges. What follows is not graceful. Wings slam against wings. Feathers fly loose. Beaks strike defensively as often as they feed. Talons scrape bone. Bodies show for position. Hunger is louder than fear. Each bird calculates constantly. How far can I push? Whom can I displace? Which opening offers the richest reward? The hungriest become the fiercest. A vulture spreads its wings wide to appear larger, shielding its portion. Another darts beneath that barrier to snatch a bite. Quick, efficient, relentless. The black vultures tear muscle from limb. Griffins plunge deep inside the cavity, emerging crimson-stained. Hierarchy shifts moment by moment, depending on strength and timing. And yet, this is order. Within an hour, the deer is reduced to architecture. Ribs gleam, tendons snap free, even the eyes vanish. Gradually, aggression fades. Crops swell visibly. Breathing slows. One by one, birds step back. Not from generosity, but from satiation. Full stomachs silence rivalry. The wind strengthens. Heavy wings beat downward, lifting bloated bodies into rising thermals. They climb slowly, laboriously, then effortlessly. Below remains only bone. Clean, sterile, efficient. In this kingdom, there are no hunters, no mercy, no cruelty, only conversion. Death into life, waste into survival. And somewhere beyond the horizon, another signal is already forming in the sky. The Tenerife giant lizard emerges. Its body is thick and muscular. Its scales dark, absorbing warmth. It moves with deliberate authority across terrain that would shred softer creatures. Despite its ancient appearance, almost reptilian royalty, it is not a predator of flesh. It feeds on plants. But vegetation here is seasonal, fragile, and fiercely contested. Spring brings blossoms. Cactus fruits swell with moisture. Shrubs push green shoots through volcanic dust. For a brief moment, abundance softens competition. Then summer arrives. The sun hardens everything. Flowers wilt. Water vanishes. Leaves curl into brittle shapes. Leaves curl into brittle shapes. Now, each fruit becomes currency. A smaller lizard approaches a cactus bloom, biting tentatively into its pulp. Juice spills down its jaw, but the tremor in the rocks announces something larger. A dominant male. He advances slowly, but unmistakably. His body language is clear. This territory, this fruit, this moisture, mine. The smaller lizard hesitates, then bolts. The larger one lunges forward, jaws snapping at empty air. He claims the bloom and devours it with mechanical intensity. Strength decides. Across the lava plains, similar contests erupt. Pushes, tail lashes, short, explosive chases. Rarely fatal, always decisive. Because in this landscape, survival is not about killing rivals. It is about outlasting drought. The larger lizards roam wider distances, spreading seeds through their droppings. Inadvertently, they shape the future of the island. Competition fuels regeneration. Even here, among hardened stone and ancient fire, the rule remains unchanged. Food dictates power. Power dictates survival, and survival shapes the land itself. The eternal equation across continents, across climates, across species, the pattern never changes. From the mist-covered Danube to the burning African plains, from volcanic stone in the Atlantic to frozen Alaskan rivers, from Mediterranean woodlands to the breathing heart of the Amazon, one law governs all. Energy must move. If it stops, life stops. The jackal that lunged for a carcass did not act out of cruelty. The eagle that tore flesh from bone did not act out of malice. The cheetah that lost her kill did not lose because she was weak. The hyena that stole did not steal without purpose. Each was responding to the same pressure. Hunger. Hunger is older than teeth, older than wings, older than forests. It is the first force that shaped behavior. It determined speed in the cheetah's spine, strength in the lion's shoulders, patience in the jaguar's stalk, strategy in the vulture's descent, dominance in the bear's stance midstream. Even the lizard on volcanic rock carries it, moving across lava in search of moisture trapped in fruit. Food is not comfort, it is currency. It determines who breeds, who holds territory, who grows strong enough to defend, who fades quietly into the background of extinction. When salmon surge upstream, they do not simply feed bears, they feed forests. Nutrients from ocean flesh become soil through scat and decay. Trees absorb it. Insects multiply. Birds thrive. When vultures strip a carcass clean, they do not simply satisfy themselves, They prevent disease. They recycle death into possibility. When jaguars leave remnants, they create opportunity for dozens of species unseen. Every struggle transfers energy forward. Nothing is isolated. The fight for food is not a collection of random battles. It is a system, a vast, invisible network of exchangers. Take away one participant, and the balance shifts. Remove the scavengers, disease spreads. Remove the predators, prey overconsume. Remove the predators, greater vanish. The equation collapses, and yet, within this relentless system, there is something remarkable. Restraint. Most fights do not end in death. The bears bluff more than they maim. The lions roar more than they slaughter rivals. The eagles threaten more than they slaughter rivals. Because survival is not about destruction. It is about sustainability. Even aggression follows rules. Energy spent recklessly is energy lost forever. The wild is not chaos, it is negotiation. Constant, dynamic negotiation. Day turns to night somewhere on Earth, under moonlight. The predator stalks. Elsewhere, dawn ignites another hunt. There is no pause in the equation, only movement. The smallest insect participates. The largest carnivore participates. The silent trees participate. Everything eats. Everything it's eaten. Everything gives something else. And within this eternal cycle lies a profound truth. Life persists not because it is gentle, but because it is efficient. The struggle for food is not a flaw in nature. It is its engine. It drives adaptation. It sharpens senses. It builds cooperation. It defines hierarchy. It creates resilience. And as long as energy flows from one life to another, as long as rivers run and forests breathe, as long as prey move and predators follow, the story continues, not of violence, but of balance. Because on this planet, to eat is to live, and to live is to participate in the oldest equation of all. The struggle never ends, but neither does life. A younger coalition is testing him. They do not need to attack immediately. They need only discover how strong he still is, how fast he still is, how much savagery he still possesses to keep his pride. When the confrontation comes, it is nothing like the romantic image humans prefer to attach to lions. It is rough, violent, full of dust, blood, and the crashing impact of huge bodies slamming together. Claws tear skin. Jaws climb onto neck and shoulder. Both sides understand the price. The loser does not merely suffer wounds. He may lose the territory, the pride, the right to pass on his genes, even his life, if he falls at the wrong moment. That is the tragedy, buried at the heart of lion power. The closer to the summit, the more relentless the pursuit. The stronger the ruler, the more often he must prove he is still strong. A black maned lion may inspire fear across the savannah, but he's never truly allowed rest in safety. Every roar is a declaration. Every scar is a receipt. Every quiet night is only a pause before another trial. Even so, His role in the pride cannot be dismissed. His presence defends the range, deters intruders, and contributes to the stability of the next generation of cubs. In the larger ecosystem, lions remain a force that shapes prey behavior and the competitive structure among predators. When darkness finally covers the land and his mane blends into the very shadow it resembles, we realize that some of nature's most powerful symbols are most compelling precisely because they are unstable. This lion is not captivating because he is invincible. He is captivating because even knowing the throne is temporary, he still rises, still roars into the dark, still stands ready to fight once more for what nature never promised would remain his forever. Black Rhinox. A solitary mass of fury in Africa's thorn country. There are creatures that need no roar or lightning speed to make an entire landscape wary. It is enough for one of them to emerge from the thorn scrub, sunlight falling across skin thick as ancient stone, its horn pointed forward like a primitive spear, and the air itself seems to grow heavier. This is the black rhinoceros, a solitary beast that carries in every step the feeling of prehistory refusing to end. Morning in Africa's semi-arid lands arrives with the smell of hot dust and thorn bush. This is not the open savanna where zebra and antelope display their speed. The black rhino favors denser, rougher scrubland, where pathways are unclear and shadows weave through thorny branches. There, a rhino appears like a moving block of muscle. Its head stays low, and its pointed, prehensile upper lip pulls leaves from brush, stripping scarce greenery from the toughest shrubs. Unlike the white rhino, which grazes mainly on grass, the black rhino is a browser. Its hooked lip makes it look almost like a careful craftsman in a world of thorns. Branch by branch, shrub by shrub, it works with heavy patience. Yet this calm is only surface. Inside that massive body lives a nervous system stretched as taut as a drawn bow. The black rhino has poor eyesight, but in exchange, its ears and nose function as warning systems that almost never stop working. Its ears swivel independently, scanning every small sound. Its nose reads the air like an invisible report on every living thing around it. For the black rhino, the world appears not clearly in images, but in signals. A strange smell, a cracking branch, a shift in the wind. Any of these can become the spark that ignites its fierce defensive instinct. This is not an animal that seeks conflict for display, but it is one that is almost never willing to tolerate risk at close range. Its solitude means it lacks the herd advantage of elephants, the coordinated tactics of lions, yet that same solitude forces it to become a fortress unto itself. One wrong decision, one delayed reaction, can cost a calf's life, inflict severe injury, or erase the right to continue existing in an environment that offers no forgiveness. Somewhere on its back, an oxpecker clings and pecks at parasites hidden among folds of thick skin. It is one of the strangest alliances nature has ever built. The bird gets food. The rhino gains another set of eyes and an extra alarm system. In a land where danger can emerge from any direction, no advantage is too small. But the moment that turns the black rhino into a true nightmare of Africa's thorn country is not when it quietly feeds on leaves. It is when the air changes by a single beat, and that whole block of muscle suddenly explodes into a storm of fury charging straight at danger. An unusual sound comes from the low scrub. It may be a wandering hyena. It may be a human too close. It may be only a strange scent, trapped too long in the wind. The black rhino stops. Its head lifts, ears rise. 1 second of silence stretches into suffocating tension. Then it charges. There are few sights in nature that generate such raw pressure as a black rhino coming at full force. It does not need to be a top predator, does not need to roar, does not need to display itself. Its mass alone, its short explosive speed, and the horn leading the charge are enough to turn that rush into a sentence. Dust erupts behind its feet. Thorn branches snap apart. Distance is consumed without negotiation. Adult lions rarely wish to test themselves against a healthy black rhino. Even apex predators understand that some targets offer too much risk for the reward. One well-placed thrust of that horn can rip into flesh and destroy the attacker's entire advantage. The black rhino is not a killer by profession, but when it fights as if nature allows only one side to remain standing. The black rhino also plays a quiet role in the ecosystem. By browsing leaves and breaking branches, it shapes the structure of scrub vegetation, opening gaps for young plants to grow and for other species to move through. Wherever it passes, the landscape changes slowly, but decisively. It does not rule by symbol like a lion. It alters the world by the sheer weight of its existence. Yet the black rhino's greatest tragedy does not lie in nature. In the wild, few animals dare challenge a healthy adult. But before humans, even all that strength is not enough. However many charges, however thick the skin, however many millions of years spent evolving into a living fortress, it can still fall to invisible greed aimed at its horn. That is the cruelest paradox of all. A species that can silence the thorn country with its fury remains fragile before the one predator that does not need to meet it face to face. As afternoon light stretches long through the thorn scrub, the rhino's shadow grows into a heavy shape across the ground. It walks alone, carrying unpredictability, carrying the history of a species that has survived through endless upheaval. And in that lonely stride, there is something that reminds us nature still preserves beings that do not need to be loved in order to be great. They need only endure long enough and hard enough to remind the world what primal fear truly feels like. Hyenas against lions. The never-ending war between two empires of the savannah. Across the African savannah, some hunts end in seconds. Some lives are decided in a single violent instant. But there is another war that stretches across years, across generations, a war that never truly closes, no matter how well each side knows the other. It is the conflict between hyenas and lions, two predator powers alike in hunger, yet utterly different in the way they enforce power. One is the symbol of the throne. The other is an army built on endurance. And between them, every carcass can become a battlefield. Night has only just fallen, and the smell of blood is already spreading over the grassland. A pride of lionesses has brought down a wildebeest after a sudden, explosive hunt. Cubs linger behind them. A male lion is nearby, not yet feeding, but his mere presence makes the atmosphere heavier. In the world of lions, prey is not only food, it is reward, fuel, and proof of power. But at the edge of the darkness, other eyes have already lit up. The hyenas are coming, not with haste, not loudly at first, but like a gray-brown tide thickening from the shadows beyond the grass. They smell blood from far away. They heard the struggle. They know that where there is a carcass, there is opportunity. And to a hyena, opportunity is not something to admire. It is something to test to the limit. Humans have long preferred a simple version of this story. Lions are kings, hyenas are dirty thieves. But nature has little interest in such easy summaries. The truth is far more complex. Hyenas do not merely steal, they are exceptional hunters. Lions do not merely rule. They also steal from hyenas when they can. Each side is rival, threat, and mirror to the other, reflecting a different form of power across the same land. A large hyena clan can overpower a few lionesses, especially when numbers are high, determination is fierce, and the carcass is valuable enough. They crush bone, tolerate pain well, move with relentless stamina, and coordinate efficiently. Lions, on the other hand, possess more devastating direct force, greater ability to kill quickly, and if a full-grown male is present, the balance can shift almost instantly. That is why every meeting between them at a carcass becomes a calculation of numbers, nerve, and timing. And the most terrifying moment in this conflict is not when one side roars or the other breaks into that eerie laughter. It is when both sides understand that tonight neither will retreat before blood meet. And status is settled by violence. The hyenas laugh first, sharp, clipped, like thorns thrown into the dark. The lions answer with a deep roar that can strike through the chest of every creature listening. Then the gap closes. The hyenas do not rush blindly. They circle, test responses, press on the nerves of their enemies with numbers. One edges left, two others probe from behind. They are searching for weakness, trying to force exhaustion, trying to break the line. The lionesses rise around the carcass, ears flattened, lips peeled back to reveal their teeth. They know this enemy is not like wildebeest or zebra. Hyenas do not frighten easily with a few warning displays. They will return, try again, remain as patient as hunger itself. A sudden lunge erupts. One hyena dodges in time. Another is clipped across the shoulder by claws. Roars, laughter, pain shrieks, and the smell of blood begin to fuse into one primitive storm. If no male lion is present, the battle can drag on, bitter and exhausting. Lionesses, though powerful, must also protect cubs, guard the kill, and weigh the cost of injury. The hyenas tighten pressure little by little through sheer numbers. They bite, withdraw, harass, and grind at resistance. But the moment a large male lion arrives, the equation can reverse. His size, power, and presence can turn an advancing force into one that suddenly yields ground. It is a dispute over who has the right to exist at the top of the food chain. Who eats first? Who waits? Who controls the fear of others? Yet the most fascinating truth is that neither side can erase the other. Lions cannot wipe hyenas from the savannah. Hyenas cannot permanently steal the lion's throne. Both are forced to coexist in a feud without end, each threatening the other while sharpening the other's edge. At the ecosystem level, both are essential. Lions regulate large herbivore populations and shape behavior across wide hunting grounds. Hyenas hunt, steal, scavenge, and consume almost every remaining scrap of a carcass. One is a blade, the other is a millstone. Together they keep the savannah functioning according to a logic that is brutal but effective. By the time the night deepens, the carcass will have been torn down. Whether it remains mostly with the lions, is partly stolen by the hyenas, or is divided by the physical limits of both sides. But by morning, the war is still not over. It will happen again at another riverbank, another kill, another dry season. Because on the African grasslands, power never belongs to a single roar or a single laugh. It belongs to whoever is still hungry enough, stubborn enough, and violent enough to return to the battlefield one more time. The flamingo endures where the world seems too harsh for grace. The black rhino walks like a remnant of prehistory, carrying both power and vulnerability in the same body. The caracal proves that precision can be deadlier than size. The black-maned lion reminds us that even kings must fight to remain kings.